it's illegal, and I'm going to find out.
What makes you think that it is?
Because I would hate to think that I live in a country where you officers could just run my plates and get my information anytime you want. Now, given the fact that if I'm not detained, I don't have to provide ID, he did not detain me. He just took it upon himself to go back there to find out who I am. I do not have to provide that information to you unless I'm detained. And you didn't detain me until you walked to the back of my car after you ran my plate, and after that officer ran my plate. I have it all on video.
That's fine.
If you'd have come up and said you're detained for this crime, I'd have provided you everything you needed. But you didn't do that. Y'all just want to know what I'm doing. So you want my ID, which is not the way it works. And because I didn't, because I didn't provide my ID, then he wants to be shady and go run my plate.
Nobody's being shady. Listen to me, sir.
Everybody's being shady here. I haven't committed a crime. I haven't done anything wrong. And if you say I'm trespassing on this property, you're wrong, because I can't be trespassing on a property that I've never been asked to be to. This is a church parking lot. Are you prepared to stay in court,
sir,
and tell the court that this preacher of this church would not want me here sitting in his parking lot?
Are you going to let me answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, the answer to that is we got a call that you were here, okay? Now, we're investigating that. For whatever reason you're here, not just because you're sitting on the church parking lot, okay? It wouldn't have mattered if you were sitting in front of Rite Aid parking lot or anything else. It doesn't matter, okay?
Well, if it doesn't matter where I'm sitting,
hold on, sir.
Why was
I want to get an understanding.
Why was I threatened with being charged of trespassing? And I would appreciate if you didn't touch me. I know you have no ill will, but I would appreciate if you didn't take for granted that we're friends enough for you to touch me.
Well,
because right now you're performing an illegal act. And I don't trust you.
To you.
Well, this is not a consensual conversation. And the only way it's going to continue to be a conversation is if I'm detained. And if you detain me...
Well, until we figure out why... Let me tell you this.
Unless I'm being detained, I'm not answering any more questions, and I'd like to be free to go about my business.
Until we figure out why you're here, you are being detained, sir.
Okay, what crime am I being detained for?
Suspicious activity. Trespassing, for one. There's a railroad
Now
here.
We're back to trespassing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, sir. I'm not just pulling stuff out of my butt here, you know?
So if I was to go park in, like your example, if I was to go park in Rite Aid parking lot and sit there and take some pictures, that makes me trespassing? Just like I'm doing here? I'm in a church parking lot, okay, that is openly accessible to the public. There are no signs that say private property. There are no signs that say you can only be here.
I'm not being argumentative with you and saying none of that's not the case.
You're just wrong.
You're exactly right.
I mean, you can charge me with trespassing all you want, but if you think you're going to be able to stand up in court in front of a jury of my peers and convince them that what I'm doing right now is trespassing, you're wasting your time, my time, and the court's time.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. 90% of what we do is a waste of time. Okay, I'll give you that.
All this boils down to is your off-duty officer that pulled up and told me he was off-duty and told me I was not detained wanted to know who I was, and he doesn't have that right.
No, that's not what happened.
I have it all on video.
I understand.
That's exactly what happened.
But let me tell you, he didn't just run across you. What happened was he heard the radio call. Me and that other deputy got a radio call that somebody was here taking pictures.
Okay.
And he heard it on the radio and was close by and stopped.
Okay, let me ask you this.
He didn't just approach you because he felt like
so nobody called and said there was somebody trespassing. Somebody called and said I was taking pictures. Right. Is it illegal to take pictures in public?
It depends on what you're taking a picture of, sir.
So you're telling me that a citizen doesn't have a right in public to take a picture of anything they can see from public? Is that what you're telling me?
Let me back that, because I'm going to use that argument. That's what
I just like for you to answer my question.
Hold on, I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
But I'm going to answer it in a way that you asked us too about running your license plate. The courts have already said that license plate is in plain view wherever it is. As long as we don't go up in your yard and do it.
And I didn't accuse you.
No,
I said I think it's illegal, and I'm going to find out.
And I'm explaining it to you.
Okay. And before we leave, I'm going to need names and badge numbers from every officer that's here. Or a business card.
Well, you're recording it. You got mine right here.
Okay, what's your badge number, sir?
1123.
Thank you, and I'm going to need it from those gentlemen as well.
So, why can't we have a civil conversation here and explain what you're doing here?
We were having a civil conversation until your officer, who was off duty and told me that I was not detained,
he's not here, so
started asking me for my ID, what I was doing, why I was here.
Okay, I'm asking you to communicate with me.
Okay. I'll communicate as much as I feel necessary to communicate with you.
Okay.
If I'm being detained, though, I need to know right now if I'm being detained. Because
Sir,
if I'm being detained, I'm going to cooperate
This is
silently, and I'm going to plead the fifth and not answer any more questions. Now, if you want to have a consensual conversation and communicate, I'll do that if I'm not being detained at my discretion, not yours. So I need to know, am I being detained for a crime? And if so, I need you to articulate what crime I'm being detained for.
You're being questioned and talked to right now about suspicious activity. That's the call. That's what we have.
But am I being detained? If I'm not being detained, I'm going to be free to go on my way.
Sir,
Listen, the law says if you're detaining me, I have to cooperate within the law. If I'm not being detained, I have every right to leave. If you do not allow me to leave and I'm not being detained, you're falsely imprisoning me.
No, I'm not a falsely
So am I free to go?
No, sir.
Am I being detained?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What crime am I being detained for?
Trespassing and
Okay.
suspicious activity. That's what I'm telling you. I told you that 3 times.
Suspicious activity is not a crime. I can be suspicious if I want to. There's nothing legal about being suspicious. And if you're going to detain me for trespassing, I'd like for you to go ahead and cite me.
Well, we have the discretion not to. We have the discretion to or not to.
So you're using the trespassing to get what you want when I won't cooperate.
I'm using a little bit of logic here and trying to figure out for this business owner right here, because
I spoke to this business twice. Both times I've explained to them what I do here. Both times their management said that's okay. So
when was the last time that you talked to them?
2 months ago. I have it on video.
Do you know who that was that you spoke to?
I have it on video, his name. I don't know it off
Can
the
you
top.
tell me his name so I can ask?
I don't
if he's
know
over
it off
there.
the top of my head. I have it on video, though. And I'm not going to provide any information right now because I'd have to shut this video off to do so. Now, that's not me being argumentative. That's just a fact. I'm not going to shut this recording I'm doing right now off to find out that gentleman's name.
I'm just curious about one. Can we have a sensible conversation about one thing?
No, we can't. You've told me I'm being detained. So as of right now, if I'm being detained, I'm not answering any more questions, and you tell me what I need to do.
What do you mean if I tell you what to do?
Well, if I'm being detained by law, I have to cooperate. If I'm not being detained, I don't have to cooperate.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I mean, here's what it can come down to, okay? If you want to play this, okay?
I'm not playing anything. I'm following the law.
I understand.
I wish we were all following the law.
And that's what I'm telling you, the law.
Okay.
Sir, let me tell you something. That Constitution means just as much to me as it does you, okay?
Apparently not, because you swore an oath to protect it, and you're not
exactly
right.
Oh, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Well, me being in public...
Absolutely, 100%, sir. And I've been protecting this Constitution since I was 17 years old in the Marine Corps and everything else in law enforcement, okay? So don't tell me, just because I'm a law enforcement officer, we're tramping all over everybody's
I'm telling you because of your
rights.
actions right now.
Sir, my actions, we have a right to talk to whoever we want to.
I am taking part in a constitutionally protected activity, and you're detaining me.
Okay, well, here's what it comes down to, sir.
Okay.
Here's what it comes down to. If you want to talk the law, okay, the thing is, the law is telling you, don't come back on this property, don't come back on that property, or that is failure to obey an order, and you can go to jail.
Okay. On what property? You said this property?
This property, yes.
And you said that property. What other property are we speaking of?
This property. Right
I've never been on that property in my life.
I'm not saying you have. I'm just telling you.
And if you're giving me a direct order that I can't be on this property, and I contact this individual right here, and he tells me I can be on this property, me and you're going to court.
I don't care, sir.
I know you don't care. Well, you can't just go around telling people
you're not
what
a church member.
How do you know that? Are you assuming that?
Are you a church member here?
I don't have to answer that question. But
Gary, is he the preacher here? Can he come over here? We'll find out.
I got no problem with that. But I bet you do the talking to him, and when it's all said, let me talk to him and see how it turns out.
Do you know this individual?
No, I'm sorry, I do not.
How do you do,
Is he
sir?
a member of your church?
No, he's not.
Is he allowed to be on this property?
No, he's not.
Okay. Can you tell me why I'm not allowed to be on? I'll respect your wishes, but can you tell me your reason for me not being allowed to be on this property?
I would prefer not to do that.
Okay, that's fair enough. Have you ever told me before that I wasn't allowed on this property?
No, I have not.
Thank you for being honest. I appreciate that. Would you like to know why I'm on your property?
No, I would not.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Thank you.
And you don't want me coming to your church or back to your property?
You're welcome to come to services only.
Oh.
If you are doing anything other than attending our service, I will ask you to leave again.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right.
Is that okay?
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Oh, are we done now?
Yes, sir.
I'm not being charged with
No, sir.
trespassing?
You
Can I have your name and badge number, please?
Trooper Pryor.
Trooper Pryor. And Trooper Pryor, I'm going to ask you, you're the one that detained me. You never did give me cause for the detention, but am I now no longer detained?
Yeah, you're free to leave.
And I'm no longer charged with trespassing and the other things you said I was going to be charged with?
No, you will be if you come back, because you heard it from the owner, okay? He doesn't
Okay.
want you here.
Okay.
So if we